Since the last G League season in College Park, what have you been doing?
Just working out a lot.
Did you play with anybody in another league?
I didn't play in any other leagues this summer. I know a lot of guys that did go play and have that experience, but I decided to go home, work out. I just became a father to a very beautiful daughter. She turned 2 months 2 days ago. So, just other than that, living life, spending time with family, and getting ready for the season.
Well, congratulations on that. After one season with College Park in the G League and coming back for your second, what do you feel like you know now that you didn't know a year ago about what you need to be doing, to further your career and also help the team at the same time?
Understanding the pace of the game, getting in better shape, knowing more about just the consistent movement in offense, and being able to guard your yard on defense. I think coming from college and last year being my first year professional, that adjustment to that game speed it's a lot different. You come down in college and you run a set and you might end up finding yourself in the corner for the entire set, but here there's none of that. Everybody's got to move, everybody's got a job they got to do in every single play. So getting used to that was probably the main thing that I did last year. So going into this year, just being in better shape and being ready to make plays at all times.
It's also part of the transition going from you were a guy at West Virginia. You were counted on to be a scorer, and now in this place, you got to find your role and what's most important for the team, and also, of course, what role you can serve to help yourself professionally. How big of a transition was that, going from a guy who was the guy to being a guy who's just one of the guys?
I think, it's one of those things for me at West Virginia, and, really even when I was at Washington, I was dependent on defensively to, guard some of those best guys. I fortunately always had a really good, point guard that could defend, so I didn't have to guard some of those little guards. But, if you look at all my games, some of those big games, I was against, matching up with some of the best forwards in the nation, some of the best guards in the nation. So, coming into my first year professionally last year, I knew that I was going to have to defend. I knew that that was going to be something that would help me get to, where I eventually want to get to, which is the NBA. So, I really just take pride in that defensive end of the floor. Offense is going to come to me. I know what I can do on offense, and, obviously everybody does around here. So it's just, what I can do defensively. I want to be a stopper. I want to be that guy to go out and, that two-way guy or that assignment guy that's coming to play. I want to make sure they have a tough night and, do whatever I can do to help us win.
Is that what you found about the G League? Is that on any given night, it's almost like a college All-American? I mean, these were guys, they were stars, big-time stars at their college program, but everybody's kind of all in the same boat, trying to make that next step up the ladder and get to the league.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. You see there's guys that were a top 15 pick in the draft that end up in the G League. There's guys that were undrafted that end up being stars in the NBA. So anything can happen at any point in time for anybody. So, just getting ready for those games, watching a bunch of film, like you said, it's like a college all-star game when it comes to it sometimes. But there's also vets. Last year I guarded Lance Stevenson. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had on the basketball floor. I go out there to guard him, and I'm like, oh, dude, I used to watch you play playoffs against LeBron, way back. So just fast forward to now and living that moment last year, it's like a surreal moment.
How do you build chemistry with your teammates? There was a lot of talk about getting to know guys in the training camp. How do you build chemistry with these guys?
I think, a lot of it's communication. When you're professional, it's different than when you're in college. When you're in college, you might go bowling together, or, you guys can go out together, have fun, do whatever. But, when you're in the professional world, some people have families, some people don't like to hang out, some people are, very quiet, closed off. So I think, spending a lot of time together and working on just being together as a team in practice, that's a lot of it. Communication defensively, I feel like, is one thing that'll really bring the team together. And then just knowing your personnel, as a teammate, as a leader, knowing what guys are good at certain things, where you can help them excel at. So, building team chemistry is one of those things that, not a lot of people know how to do it, but it kind of just happens over time with games played, practices, little funny team bonding moments, locker room stuff, how it goes.
Coach Klein mentioned the importance of having symmetry between the Atlanta Hawks and the Skyhawks. As a returning player, how can you help some of the new guys get up to speed?
I think, some of the main things I can do is, just kind of tell people to calm down. Being a player last year, my first year, I feel like I was so sped up in moments. you know, your emotions can get so high, so low. There's games where you don't play, games where you play heavy minutes. So, you know, kind of just telling guys to find a peaceful medium where it's more of a, you know, just live in the journey where you're at. You know, the marathon continues. It's not a, you know, it's not a sprint. Sometimes you got to walk to your destination. Sometimes you got to jog. It just depends on who you are. So I just try to keep everybody level-headed, and, you know, I think it helps. It helps me a lot, you know, just thinking about where I was at once and having to be level-headed myself and continuing to do that.
Seth had that game winner in preseason. You obviously played with him and around him a lot last year. What does that mean to you to see one of your teammates from last year succeeding like that at the preseason level? And does that kind of give you motivation to kind of be there in his shoes one day?
So here's a funny story. So when I was a sophomore in college, Seth was at Penn State, and they came and played us in a close scrimmage. And I cooked Penn State that game. Don't tell Seth I told you that. He'll get mad. But I don't know if you guys remember last year, Seth also did a preseason game winner. And I mean, you know, if you watch Seth's last year at Penn State, he was a dynamite. You know what I mean? He was explosive, get bucket at will. You know what I mean? And I think people sleep on him defensively. What he can do, his versatility. He's strong, big body. But you know, this year, I mean, he goes out there, he makes those tough shots, man. Like, it's crazy because he'll, you know, he sat there the whole game, and you know, he watched, he cheered, he did his job as a teammate, terrific guy. And you get in the last couple minutes of the game, and it's like, all right, now you're here, and he goes up there and he hits another one. So it's always exciting to see, you know, your guy go do something like that. Me and him are really close. He's one of my best friends here. So, you know, being able to see him do that, and you know, obviously there's a motivation factor. You know, you want to be there one day, but it's also just so dope to see one of your friends go out there and do it on the highest stage. So,
how have you had to adjust your daily workout routine becoming a father?
it's been interesting. Your sleep schedule changes a little bit, but I mean, I love every step of it. You know what I mean? I love my daughter. She's been the light of my world, light of my life ever since she's been here on this earth. So, you know, just, you might get a little bit upset sometimes or stressed out or whatever the case is, or I can go to practice. I might not have the best day at practice, and, you know, you go home and you see your child and it's like the best thing ever. So you can't even be mad. You can't have a bad day. You know what I mean? So I love it.